the way we usually do these sessions is I usually write a little essay before each one and read it, which I'm going to do today. And then usually start with a relaxation. And then I will lead you through various games. Some are very short awareness games, very similar to Mark Kelly's Glimpses. And some of them are longer guided meditations. And in between, please feel free uh, to ask any questions you want, either unmute your mic and ask a question or put something in the chat, um, or raise your hand or whatever. Please feel free, but I'll also have at the end, a Q&A session in case anyone wants to share anything or ask anything or whatever. So, hello, you guys. Nice to see you again. Michael, hello. I think I've said hello to anybody, everybody. Did anybody I miss? I don't want to ignore anyone. Alrighty. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody and start with the little essay, and then take it from there. So please feel free to unmute yourselves if you have a question or comment. So we're going to start with, as I mentioned, a little essay I wrote this week. It's called I Am Not a Camera. There's a famous play, I think, by John Van Druten that the musical Cabaret was based on, called I Am a Camera. So this is a takeoff on that. I am not a camera. So a simple analogy for getting a sense of who you really are is the camera. So imagine a side view of a camera. Light from the world outside the camera comes in through the lens, and it's imprinted on a piece of film inside the camera. It's an old-fashioned camera. Or if it's a digital camera, the light is imprinted on a memory chip. Who sees this image of light on that piece of film? Who sees that image of light on the memory chip? No one inside the camera, that's for sure. Who sees it is the photographer looking through the viewfinder. Now imagine that the camera has some AI in it, some artificial intelligence programmed into it. Let's say that it automatically adjusts how much light it lets in, depending on the brightness of the scene it's pointed at. It's automatic. Is there someone in the camera doing this? No. Let's say it's attached to a Steadicam, and there are internal sensors that detect movement, and these sensors are connected to a gyroscope that adjusts for the movement, and it holds the center of gravity of the camera steady. Is there somebody in the camera or in the Steadicam rig that's deciding how to adjust the center of gravity? No. The AI that adjusts for how much light enters and the Steadicam apparatus together give the camera its own sort of nervous system, taking in information, obeying the rules and the algorithms, and sending signals to the motors that drive its actions. Our bodies and brains are like that, only infinitely more complex, with many more sensors picking up information from the world and adjusting reactions accordingly, and recording all of this on its memory chips. And here's the gist of all this. We think we are the camera. We think we are the sensors and the motors and the memory chips, but we're not. We're the photographer looking through the camera. But this is no ordinary photographer. This is a photographer with billions of eyes looking through billions of cameras at once. the AI algorithms are so busy with the information that's being sent to the photographer that it has no knowledge of the photographer. But unlike a robotic camera, we can sense the photographer by quieting down the focus on the information that we're sending and allowing the feeling of being the photographer to flow back into the individual nervous system of the camera. In this analogy, the camera is our individual bodies and brains, and the photographer is universal awareness, our true identity, looking out through all the cameras in the universe at once. When we turn our attention from what is seen to what is doing the seeing, we create a sort of wormhole between the individual mind and the universal mind, creating a two-way flow where there was only a one-way flow before. But the sense of the photographer, universal awareness that is, flows back to us in a different language than we use in our minds. It's nonverbal, non-conceptual, and it's sensed not with our minds, but felt with our hearts. Of course, in awareness games, you don't have to believe any of this is true. You just have to play a what-if game and see what happens. What if it were true that the real me is universal awareness, looking out through my body, my brain, my eyes, and it's the same awareness looking out through everyone's eyes. It's the act of imagining that shifts your attention from the content of awareness back to awareness itself. And that's enough. So we'll play around with that in some of the games in a little bit. So I often talk that there are 3 steps in awareness games. I call them RAA, or RA, for relaxing, allowing, and awareing. And relaxing is just simply relaxing, physical relaxation, pure and simple, easy, looking inside to see what's clutching, what's tensing, and letting it go. Because when you're physically relaxed, things just flow through you more easily. And the second is allowing, which is allowing everything in this moment to be as it is. And I just mean just for now. I don't mean allowing the entire world tomorrow to be as it is so that we don't do anything like go on a protest march or vote or whatever we need to do, or help a friend in need, or volunteer, or care for our families. I just mean right now, while you're playing an awareness game or while you're meditating, can I allow everything, including how I feel, including the world, including what I'm thinking, including my body sensations? Can you allow everything just simply to be as it is? And the third is awareing. And I use that because awareness we can turn into a concept, and if it's a concept, it can be known by something. And what is that something? So I use the verb awareing, which just means what I described before, shifting your attention from the content of awareness to awareness itself. And awareness itself, because it has no qualities, because like a mirror, it doesn't choose what to reflect, it's totally allowing already. You don't even have to do any effort to allow when you know yourself as awareness, because awareness already is okay with everything. It already allows. It is already choiceless. It is already unconditional love. And that's why connecting with that and allowing that to flow back through us is where happiness lives. back there inside in our true nature of awareness, not out there in things we can get, things we can achieve, states we think we might want to attain, or anything at all in the future. So we start with the first, which is relaxation. So we'll play a little relaxation game. And it's very simple. I call it Clutch Gobbler. And it's basically based on imagining a kind of a Pac-Man like creature inside your head. We usually start behind the eyes. So imagine you've got this little Pac-Man creature, and what it does is it senses wherever there's any clutching or tension, and it gobbles it up. And it leaves relaxation in its wake. So for now, close your eyes and imagine this little clutch gobbler inside your head, sensing is there any tension around your eyes. It just gobbles it up, moves around, and leaves relaxation behind your cheekbones, behind your nose, between your ears, and around your jaw and mouth and chin area, and down your neck. You can take easy deep breaths as you go. As it reaches your shoulders, it splits into two little clutch gobblers, one on each side, and it goes down and finds any clutching or tension in your shoulders, gobbles them up. And down each arm, your upper arm, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, palms, back of the hand. You can split into 10 little gobblers and go down each finger, looking for any tension there. And back up each finger, forming again into two, and back through your wrists and up through your arms, and back to your shoulders again, and down into your chest area, your upper back, your front, your heart area, your rib cage, and all your internal organs. And your stomach area, your lower back, your hips, and your rear end, and your groin area, your thighs. Just gobbling away any tension that might be there. Your knees, calves and shins, ankles, down to your heels, and arches and the soles of your feet, and the top of your feet, and each toe. Finding any tension and gobbling. Now, just for a minute or two, just let it flow around freeform in case there's some spot you missed. It's got radar in it. It knows exactly where to go. Any place where there's any remaining tension. And just imagine it gobbling it up and leaving relaxation in its wake. And when you're ready, at your own pace, simply open your eyes. Thank you. And a couple of short little games that are kind of based on the beginning essay. The first one is just called, What do you mean when you say I? And you can do these eyes open, eyes closed, doesn't matter. Say to yourself, I. I. And look inside and see what you're referring to when you say I. Could be your body, could be your thoughts, could be your personality, could be some location like a spot behind your eyes within you. So whatever you come up with as an answer to that question, what do I mean when I say I? Ask, who notices that? Notice that whatever you come up with that has a name or even an image that represents it is a concept. And all concepts are known. Known by what? What knows my experience? What is this thing or this non-thing that I call I? Is the I that I call I now the same I that I called I when I was 5 years old? So keep asking, and keep noticing what's noticing. Back, back, back. Okay, what is this I? It's this feeling in my back that witnesses everything. Okay. What knows that feeling in my back that witnesses everything? You keep going back and back like that until you sense that who you are is wordlessly concept free. And of course, this isn't anything new. This is just another way of doing self-inquiry. Ramana Maharshi's practice of asking, who am I? Just putting it in different words. And that's why there are a whole lot of games, because sometimes you try one thing and it works, and another day the same thing might not, and you're the expert. You know what works for you. You know what brings you to that wordless, conceptless place that knows everything, that's okay with everything, that's already allowing and accepting that pure awareness. That's your true nature. I. As I mentioned before, I'm going to move on, but please feel free to interrupt if you have any questions, reactions, comments.
Right.
Related? Yes,
That sense of I,
Michael.
like there's still a sense of self,
Uh-huh.
almost like a universal self, but still individual.
Uh-huh.
So there's a level beyond that,
Yeah,
I assume, where there's no sense of individuality.
right.
Is that right? So when you keep stepping back,
Yeah, it sounds like you're really on the right track there because, sorry, when you start, you feel like it's you. And so you feel like it's yourself. And yet it starts having less of the qualities that you attribute to this body. It starts to feel less like it has a personality or stuff. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
yeah, it's kind of beyond the body,
Yeah.
and it's kind of beyond space and time, but it still has a feeling of individuality. It's not universal.
Oh, it still has a feeling of individual, like it's yours and not everyone's.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, I think this is the first step. Is going back and looking inside for that awareness that's bigger than the body, bigger than the personality. In other words, it notices the body, it notices the personality, it notices the ego structure, the sense. And this is the first step back. And a lot of teachers, including Locke, talk about then another step, turning around and looking out from there at the world and seeing that everything that you see in the world is also appearing in awareness. So that my body sensations, my vision of the bookshelf over there, and the sounds are all appearing in awareness. And all the people that I see are appearing in awareness. So that awareness starts to take a one taste kind of feeling, like it's one thing going on. Sounds, sights, emotions, thoughts, body sensations, all appearing in one connected awareness, like a screen. You see a mountain, a person, a car, all appearing, but it's all one screen. Then the next step is, I think, you simply imagine, because it's very hard for our individual minds now to see and grasp that maybe what that is that's looking is not part of us. It's not ours. It's not alone. And I believe it's actually not local. It's universal awareness. Hard for the mind to grasp. So that's why I say don't worry about whether you believe it or not. Play a what if game. What if that which I sense as myself that's looking out is the universe looking through me? And if you play around with that long enough, you get an and I can't explain it in words better than that, but you start to connect to it. and it starts to flow back, non-conceptual.
That's beautiful. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Flavor.
Yeah, yeah, it's a flavor. A perfume, I think. Uh, there was a book, I can't remember whether it was by Rupert Spira or his teacher. It was called The Perfume of Silence. Um, but I always loved that perfume, sort of wafts through. um, Sarah says, I love the Pac-Man technique. I found it extremely effective. Oh, good. The inquiry of noticing what is noticing the eye is something I'll keep working on with too, to find the bigger awareness. Oh, yes, that's great. Yeah, yeah. Just keep doing it. Just keep trying it. There's this great phrase from Rumi that says back and back and back in infinite rings of being. And I love that one. And that's what it is. You just, and the thing about it is that the more you practice, like if you do, relaxation, allowing, and awareing, pretty soon, when you do it enough, they all three happen at the same time. You just say, ra, boom, ha, I'm there. You know, and it's astonishing. Okay, seeing from the heart. It's related. Inner eyes. So there's another short little one. With your eyes open, notice the sense of what's looking that seems to be in your head behind your eyes. Now close your eyes and allow your attention to drop from the head to the heart area. Pull your attention into the heart. Now open your eyes and look out at your immediate surroundings from the heart. Imagine that it's your heart that's seeing the world. Sometimes you can just simply put your hand on your heart and think, look out from there. And this is where you get to customize it. If looking out from there isn't doing it for you, imagine all the light from out there pouring in through your eyes, bypassing the analytical brain and going straight to the heart. So either way, being the heart and seeing the world from the heart, or allowing everything to pour in from outside into your heart. Either way, it's your game. You get to play it how you like it. Hello, Ilaf. Welcome. Good to see you again. Another game I like to play is Find the Consciousness. And, some people use the word consciousness and awareness synonymously. And sometimes I do too. Although it can be tricky because sometimes people talk about consciousness as that thing you lose when you're under anesthesia or you're in deep sleep. And if that's your definition of consciousness, then what does consciousness disappear from? And that's awareness. Awareness is there even when you're in deep sleep and you lose so-called consciousness. If it weren't, no one could wake you up. No one could shake you and wake you up from deep sleep. It wouldn't be possible. But that's theoretical. You don't even have to believe that or understand that. But you can play a kind of a hide and seek game with yourself called Find the Consciousness. And you can just look for consciousness. Where is it? Don't define it, just find it. Just find it. Like a scientist, get curious. Where is it? And don't settle for an idea about it. Don't settle for a concept of it or a word for it. Always settle for the knowing of it yourself. And like all self-inquiry, like even the original Who Am I technique of Ramana Maharshi, all these self-inquiries and all these games and all these questions, because there's a lot of questions. And it's never to get an answer. It's the act of asking that shifts the attention, that does that little about face and turns the attention inside to the background. Like you all of a sudden shift from seeing the words written on a whiteboard to the white. It's just that little shift. Buddhists call it the half step back. Another game I call particles, waves, and strings. Just because I'm an amateur popular physics book reader. I read lots of books about quantum physics, and every once in a while I'll understand a paragraph or two. I don't know why I keep reading it, but I just find it fascinating. So imagine that your body is made up of tiny moving particles or waves or little vibrating strings, whichever is the strongest image for you. Little particles, little waves, vibrating strings. Your body is made up of this. Now imagine the same thing about the air around you. It's just made up of little moving, wavings. And imagine the same thing about the objects around you. Just waves. And imagine the same thing about the people around you, if there are any. And imagine the same thing about the air that flows through you. In and out. It's just made of the same waving vibration. Can you exist without the air? Are you really separate from the air that flows through you? Are you separate from the other stuff that's made of particles or of waves or vibrating strings? What if everything, you, the things you see, whatever you hear, other people, is just simply energy waving? different frequencies. Like different radio stations on the airwaves are just different frequencies of vibrations. Not real. And it all interacts with each other. The vibrating energy known as air flows into your body and interacts with the vibration of energy known as your lungs and your bloodstream and out again. Light is just vibration comes in through your eyes, which are just vibrations and just temporary changing of vibrational frequencies make up what our mind tells us are different things. What if they're not? I have another short one before we go on to a longer guided meditation. I call this one Thinking in Tongues. It's experiencing the words in your mind as a foreign language. So pick any language that you don't understand. And this is just a game of imagination. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Forget about it. Try another. So you imagine that all the verbal thoughts inside your head are in that language that you don't understand. That voice that's in your head. Don't try to understand them. Just luxuriate in the inner cluelessness about what your thoughts are trying to tell you. And since you can't understand any of your verbal thoughts, just gradually shift your attention away from them and towards whatever else is in your awareness right now. Sounds, feeling of your body against the chair. Whatever. The verbal thoughts in our head thinks it's king. It wants all the attention. It says, pay attention to me. This is it. Forget everything else. So this game, you can dethrone your mental dialogue. Imagine it's like someone coming up to you and talking nonstop in a foreign language that you don't know without realizing that you're not understanding a single word. So you just smile and nod and let your mind wander elsewhere. Only this time it doesn't wander to more words, but only to whatever nonverbal content appears in awareness right now. The sense of your body, the best one, and sounds. And you dethrone that stream of verbal thought in your head. You're not trying to get rid of it. You're not denying it's there. You're not even trying to quiet down. You're just imagining that you don't really understand it. And so you're turning your attention elsewhere. When that quiets down, that one-way flow back to universal consciousness starts to quiet down. And then the two-way flow back from universal awareness can start to flow. Only, as I mentioned before, it doesn't flow in language. It's just a sense, the sense of pure awareness in which everything appears, which is you. So that one turned out to be actually longer than I expected. But does anyone have any questions or comments before I move on to guided meditation? We'll have a formal Q&A session at the end if you don't have any right now. Okay, great. This one is called Window to Eternity. And it's another imagination meditation. And as I said before, you don't have to believe anything. You just have to imagine what if. So imagine you're looking through a very small hole, like a peephole in a wall, or a very small window looking into a construction site from the sidewalk. You're on one side of the hole, and everything that you're seeing is on the other side of the hole. Now imagine that this very small peephole starts to expand and gets a little bit larger. At first you notice that as the hole gets larger, more and more of what can be seen comes into view. The hole is expanding, and now it's the size of your head, and you can see more of what's on the other side of the hole. And now the hole is expanding more, and it's the size of your whole upper body. You can see huge vistas behind the hole in all directions. And now the hole expands to the length and width of your entire body. And you can see very far in almost every direction through this hole. Now imagine that as the hole continues to expand even more, the hole moves toward you so that it now surrounds your body on all sides, not just in front of your body. And now the hole expands and moves closer so that your entire body is part of the view that can be seen through the hole. As this hole continues to expand, it becomes a three-dimensional ring or a circle or a globe that includes everything that could be seen in any direction, forward, backward, up, down, and includes your body. So you are the view. You are the whole itself. You can see your body and everything that surrounds it within the view of this ever-expanding sphere-like whole. Now imagine that the whole expands even more and more and begins to include the landscape, very far in every direction, as far as the eye can see. And all the while, it still includes your body in the view. Now imagine that as the whole gets even bigger and bigger, becoming the spherical space that sees everything, including yourself, it now encompasses and surrounds the entire world, including yourself, in the view. Now imagine that as it expands and expands, it includes the entire solar system, the entire galaxy, the entire universe. Become the entire universe, seeing everything in its view, including you. when you are meditating like this or playing awareness games like this, a natural thing that happens, thoughts about the past and the future or any kind of thoughts are going to stream through. It's okay. It's nature. But you're so vast and so limitless and so open and relaxed and free that they just float through like clouds in the sky. Cloud floats through a blue sky. Behind the cloud, the sky is still utterly blue, totally unaffected by that cloud that floats through. The universe that you are, that notices everything, including your body, is undisturbed, unaffected, unchanged by whatever floats through in its view. It's like that deep bass om note that just hums underneath all the music that's playing above it. It's the space in which all objects appear. It's the empty mind in which all thoughts appear. It's the silence in which all sounds appear. It's the big eye in which the little me appears. It's me, it's you, it's us, it's awareness. Pure, unlocal awareness. Now, at your own pace, take a couple of easy deep breaths. And when you're ready, if they're not already open your eyes. Or you can leave them closed. Doesn't really matter. How's everybody doing? Mm. Thank you for your comments, Michael and Constantine and Sarah. So it says, I love that meditation. I found myself combining it with the witnessing the eye. Yeah, it's fantastic. And remember, you get to customize these for yourself. There isn't this like guru that gives you these instructions that say you must follow these steps exactly, and then you will achieve this thing that's going to happen sometime in the future. Because right now, it's now, it's here, it's already here. That's the cool thing. If you imagine that it's already here, as opposed to a state to achieve, you just, ah, there it is. Nice. Yes. I know what you mean. The Constitution says, I find it difficult to talk from this ground. I know what you mean. Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. I used to go on retreats or weekend workshops or intensives or whatever, and one of the common questions people would ask was, well, right here, I feel great. I feel open. I feel relaxed. I feel free. And then I walk out into the world and everything goes kablooey. And so that makes total sense because, especially like, let's say you're in a retreat or something, um, and you're there for days or even just for hours. You're in a little bubble. You can relax. You can let go of your worries. And you're with people you can trust and you feel comfortable with, and it's safe. So you play around. So imagine that basically what you're doing is you're taking that time to practice in a safe environment. And then don't expect everything all of a sudden, but just little by little. Like you go out into the world, and let's say something happens that triggers some emotion that you don't want. You just pause and you ask, what's noticing that emotion? And what does that appear? And if you find that tricky, then you see if you can include what else is there. Okay, there's the emotion. It wants all my attention. I feel triggered. Ah, all the pieces that I had in the retreat or the meditation session is gone. What a drag. Just ask, well, okay, well, what if it's not the only thing that's there? Just take an inventory. What else is in awareness right now? Well, I feel a breeze on my skin. Okay. Sound of traffic, or birds, or air conditioning, or somebody's voice. I can feel my feet on the floor, ground. I can feel my body. I can feel the clothes against my skin. All these things are things in awareness, and they're all in the same awareness. There isn't an awareness for emotions, an awareness for thoughts, an awareness for body sensations, awareness for sounds. It's one. They all appear in it. So when you're not trying to get rid of an emotion, and when you're not trying to get rid of a thought, but you're simply asking what else is in, then it sort of expands. And just proportionally, that emotion is smaller. It's just one thing in awareness among everything else. And you practice it on easy things. You practice it on maybe a minor annoyance you get when you're walking around or driving. And then you practice it maybe reading one paragraph in a book. Can I be aware of awareness while I'm reading? Or you're looking around at a person, you're listening to a person talk to you on, a non-emotional subject. Can you be aware of the awareness in which that person's voice appears? And you start easy and you start slow and you start little by little. And it's like a frying pan that you put drops of oil in. You put a drop here and you put another drop there and another drop there. And then soon one drop touches the drop it's next to and forms a bigger drop. And then each drop starts to touch each other. And you do this over and over and over enough, and gradually all the drops sort of combine into one big lovely drop of oil. All these metaphors they're fun, but they all fall apart in the end because they're all words and concepts, and reality is just one thing. It's not a thing. It's just
Thank you, Brian. That I love these games,
good.
and you helped me realize how rigid I've become, even with different other practices that I've had that are gamey like. And you helped me realize, I can be more playful here. Because it was definitely when I first was, unhooking, was realizing, wow, how playful is it? It's like very playful in terms of going out into the room and there was no stability. It just wanted to play.
Yeah.
And how in the last couple of months I lost awareness of the play piece, which
Mhm.
seems to be coming up a lot lately. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. That's great to hear. Yeah, that's part of it because I used to be that way too. I mean, when you first start to learn something, and you see someone out there as the expert and having the answer, and you desperately want that answer,
Mm.
and you haven't a clue, and so I want the steps. I want I do this and I do that, and then step one, step two, and step three, and luckily for me, and this was that my failings, my personal, you know, maybe, I don't know, lack of discipline or something or whatever, actually helped me when I realized, oh my God, I'm not the kind of person that can devote 4 hours a day to a meditation practice and sit quietly and do it every day for 3 years. Oh my God, am I not going to get enlightened? Is this, am I bad? I mean, is there any hope for me? And then when someone said something like, I was listening to some teacher and they said, what if just for a few minutes you didn't have um, any intentions, any expectations, any intention whatsoever? And I just start to laugh. Like, what if I had no intention right now at all? And that was when I started to realize that it's like when I was a little kid. I told this story before, but I like to tell it again. When I was a little kid, I guess maybe, I don't know, 8 years old or 9 or 10, I can't remember. And I would be in bed and I would lie awake and I would say, what if there was nothing? And I would say, what if there was nothing? And I would keep repeating and trying and imagine nothing. And I kept failing at imagining nothing. But every once in a while, I would feel like I got really close. But then if there was nothing, there would be no one to experience nothing. And something would happen in me, and I would get this sort of cool feeling I can't even describe. It's like, I don't know. And so I would just play with that and say, oh, can I get that cool feeling? And so that's sort of that playfulness. If what your teacher is telling you to do is not working exactly, then, well, what is? What what does work? As long as you're sort of shifting your attention. And one last thing I'll add on this is that the thing that I learned that hit me when I would sit down to meditate or even to play an awareness game that I invented, and it didn't work. I didn't get that sort of happy for no reason feeling. It just wasn't there. It didn't come. It was always, without exception, one of two reasons. One, I was trying to recreate an experience I had in the past. Or two, I was trying to get some imagined, I was either trying to get rid of an emotion that I didn't want, or I was trying to get a state that I imagined would be good. So that's why the second step of allowing whatever to be as it is. If you're feeling grumpy, you're grumpy. What's aware of grumpiness? And what else is in awareness? If you're feeling frustrated, if you lack of conscience, if the voice in your head won't go away, okay, who's the voice in your head talking to? And don't try and make it go away. Just notice the silence that is happening, like an empty concert hall that's totally silent. And when the one violin plays, what's the silence that violin sound appears in? Yogesh says, feeling empty and light while doing the last one, similar to what Constantine shared. Oh, thank you, Yogesh. That is nice to hear.
It really is about rewiring our patterned experience. I mean, I've got 52 years of practice in the ordinary mind.
That's right.
It'll take a little bit of time to get rid of the patterns, or to, as you say, turn awareness around.
Right.
And what I found that was helpful for me a couple of months ago was to be aware of there's definitely a portal in the back. Everyone seems to be pointing to that, and having this dish like a mirror that all its thoughts, feelings, sensations appear to, and that your local awareness is looking at that mirror and seeing all of the thoughts, feelings, sensations. So looking back at the reflection that's reflecting what's coming from the front. But again, don't turn it into too much of a concept. It's kind of like your little training wheels. I seem to, if I get stuck or triggered, I just go, oh, hold on, let's just send it backwards. Yeah.
That is perfect. And that's such a great example of what I'm talking about. You basically made and customized your own awareness game. And yes, do that. And it's fantastic. And there's a couple more things about what you said. One, the mirror, I just love the mirror analogy because you put a cup of coffee and a banana in front of the mirror, and the mirror doesn't say, I don't like bananas today, I'm only going to reflect the coffee. Awareness is like that.
Yeah.
It's already okay with whatever appears in it. And so you don't have to turn yourself into the type of person that's okay with what you experience. You just have to notice what already is okay with it.
You're already okay.
Yeah.
With the reflection.
Yeah. You're already okay with it. Even, and this is such a paradox, even when you feel crappy, even when you're angry and anxious and upset, it's just this strange paradox to discover that there's a part of you that's totally happy when you're sad. That's totally aware that sadness is just a thing appearing in all there is, along with everything else appearing. And the other thing that you reminded me of was the training wheels. When I was a kid, my brother Darren had a bike with training wheels on it. And he was a very physical, active kid. And he rode that bike like crazy for, for months and months on these training wheels and battered the hell out of it. And one day my father looked at him and he said, those training wheels are so bent out of shape, they're not touching the ground anymore. You're riding the
Yeah.
bike without training wheels and you don't even know it. And that day he took off the training wheels and he rode away on the bike.
Amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got to run. But
Okay.
thank you so much. This has been such a blessing.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I appreciate your sharing and joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Love and blessings.
Love and blessings to you too. I was going to mention this before Constantine left, but I want to mention it now. He talked at the beginning about Mark Kelly, and I've spent a lot of time with Mark, and I think he's a wonderful teacher, and his teacher, Ajay Shanti, and Mingyur Rinpoche, who's, I'm not sure I'm even pronouncing his name correctly, but I've read his books. But there was no time when Mark Kelly just said to me, "Oh, be a teacher of my teachings." I mean, I'm not in any lineage or haven't been authorized by anybody to teach on their behalf or anything else. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer. All I can say is that I love the teachings of Ajay and Ajay Shanti, Mark Kelly, Kaimal Wilson, Rupert Spira, and the old masters, Ramana Maharshi, and everything. And that all I can say is that I used to be really depressed and cranky and awful, and now I'm like, 100% happier than I used to be, and that's the only real claim I can make. So does anyone else have anything that they would like to share or ask or are curious about or whatever before we start to wrap up? How are you doing, Daniela? Your video's back.
I just want to say thank you so much. I absolutely love your offering so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're just so delightful. This is such an incredibly generous offering.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. And it was so much fun talking to you on the Yoga Farm live Facebook chat or
I'm so
whatever that
excited.
was.
How's the book coming along?
Oh, thank you. I'm almost there.
Yes.
I'm almost there. It's
Adventures, right?
It's Awareness Adventures. It's the
Yes,
sequel to Awareness.
I can't wait. I literally can't wait.
Any minute now, yeah. But it's sort of like weird because it just seems to be sort of happening by itself. I can't seem to push the river on this one.
No.
But it just gets closer every day, and pretty soon I'll just go ahead and pop it out and publish it on Amazon.
Oh, yay! Then we all get to hold the baby.
I love that. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you. So sweet to see everybody here tonight too.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Zara. I wish you all a beautiful night. Thank you, Brian. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right. Yeah, I'll just second that, Brian. Really loved it. Amazing stuff. Like, I just totally disappeared. No idea where I was, who I was. I don't even know what you said. One point I just went. But it was beautiful, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate that. It's gratifying to hear. And remember, none of this is about me. It's all about you and who you really are, including that adorable puppy on Barbara Stokes' image. You're welcome, Barbara. Thank you. You're welcome, Javier. Thank you so much, Javier. All righty. I think that's it for today. I usually have these about every 3 weeks or so. Um, so I'll put it up on Facebook when the next one will be. And I'll see you all then. Take care. Have fun.
See you
Enjoy.
later, Brian.
Bye-bye. Bye, love.